You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Secure access is crucial for U.S. public sector missions, ensuring that only authorized users can access certain systems, networks, or data. Are your defenses ready? Cisco's Security Service Edge delivers comprehensive protection for your network and users. Experience the power of zero trust and secure your workforce wherever they are. Elevate your security strategy by visiting cisco.com/go.sse. That's cisco.com/go/sse. Is Doge using AI to monitor federal employees? Google's latest Android update addresses 2.0 days. Scattered Spider continues its phishing and malware campaigns. Ransomware's grip is slipping. ToddyCat exploits a critical flaw in ESET products. Oracle privately confirms a legacy system breach. Over 5,000 Ivanti Connect Secure appliances remain exposed online to a critical remote code execution vulnerability. CISA confirms active exploitation of a critical vulnerability in CrushFTP. In our Industry Voices segment, we're joined by Matt Radolec, VP of Incident Response at Varonis, on turning to gamers to build resilient cyber teams. And AI outphishes human red teams. It's Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It's great to have you with us. The Trump administration's use of Elon Musk's Doge team continues to raise serious cybersecurity and transparency concerns. According to a Reuters exclusive, Doge is reportedly using AI to monitor federal employee communications for perceived disloyalty to Trump or Musk, including scanning platforms like Microsoft Teams. Sources say the team communicates using Signal, a disappearing messages app that may violate federal records laws. Ethics experts warn this could be an abuse of power and a breach of federal data retention rules. Doge has also restricted access to key government systems, such as the Office of Personnel Management's cloud, locking out over 100 staffers. Only 2 people now control sensitive personnel data for millions of federal workers. Critics say this level of secrecy and control over federal IT infrastructure could enable political targeting and undermines democratic accountability. Lawsuits and a federal court order are now pushing Doge to release documents, but watchdogs say transparency remains dangerously low. Meanwhile, President Trump's declared national emergency and sweeping tariffs have launched a global trade war that itself poses major cybersecurity risks. Starting April 9th, a 10% baseline tariff will hit all imports, with harsher rates for China, the EU, and India. Enterprise tech and cybersecurity leaders face soaring hardware costs, delays, and increased reliance on outdated systems, raising the risk of cyber attacks. Compliance challenges, end-of-life vulnerabilities, and shrinking budgets will force leaders to rethink strategies, lean into cloud options, and prioritize core security investments. Google's April 2025 Android Security Bulletin addresses multiple critical vulnerabilities, including 2.0 days actively exploited in targeted attacks. Both impact the Linux kernel's ALSA USB audio driver and pose serious risks to Android devices running multiple versions. The first vulnerability allows information disclosure via an out-of-bounds read, while the second enables privilege escalation through memory corruption triggered by malicious USB devices. These flaws may bypass standard device locks and resemble methods used by surveillance firms. Google and Samsung have released urgent patches with fixes included in the 2025 0405 security level. The continued targeting of Android underscores the ecosystem's security challenges, with Google reporting a significant rise in zero-day attacks. Users are urged to update devices immediately to avoid exploitation. Despite multiple arrests, Scattered Spider continues its phishing and malware campaigns in 2025, targeting major firms like T-Mobile, Pure Storage, and Louis Vuitton. The cybercrime group has ditched its rickrolling antics, focusing instead on advanced tools like an updated Spectre Rat, which now features new obfuscation and command capabilities. Researchers at Silent Push detailed 5 phishing kits used by the group, noting the latest integrates multiple brands and is hosted on Cloudflare. The criminals exploit SMS phishing to steal credentials, bypass MFA, and deploy malware for persistent access and data theft. Notably, Scattered Spider is now using publicly rentable subdomains, making their operations harder to track. Silent Push has released a Spectre Rat decoder and command and control emulator to help defenders. Despite a law enforcement crackdown, the group's evolving tactics remain a serious threat to organizations worldwide. Ransomware attacks surged in early 2025, hitting a record 2,040 victims in 3 months, with schools and healthcare providers especially affected. Yet, despite the chaos, ransomware's grip is slipping. As Alan Liska, a threat intelligence analyst at Recorded Future, outlined in a blog post, profits dropped from $1.25 billion in 2023 to $818 million in 2024, as fewer victims pay ransoms, and when they do, they pay less. Cybercriminals now favor data theft over encryption, hoping to extort payment for deletion. Still, organizations are resisting, and law enforcement crackdowns are fracturing major ransomware groups. Newer, lesser-known gangs like Arcana and Babuk 2.0 are stepping in, often recycling old code and tactics under fresh branding. Meanwhile, global crises, from cyber espionage to trade wars, are pulling attention away from ransomware threats. Russia's tighter control over hackers may also be curbing major attacks. While ransomware isn't disappearing, its dominance and profitability are clearly being tested. A critical flaw in multiple ESET products has been exploited by the Chinese-linked APT group ToddyCat to deploy stealthy malware, Kaspersky reports. The vulnerability, a DLL search order hijack, requires administrative access and enables arbitrary code execution. ToddyCat used this flaw to load TCESB, a sophisticated C++ tool that bypasses security monitoring and manipulates kernel structures. ESET patched the issue in January and urges users to update. The group has targeted military and government entities across Europe and Asia since 2020. Oracle has privately confirmed a breach in a legacy system, contradicting earlier public denials. Hackers accessed old client login credentials, including encrypted passwords and exfiltrated data, some of which dates to 2024. The threat actor, Rose 87168, demanded $20 million and deployed malware targeting Oracle's identity manager. Oracle insists Oracle Cloud wasn't affected, calling the breached system Oracle Classic. However, experts criticize this as misleading rebranding. This is Oracle's second breach disclosure in months, prompting an FBI investigation and a class action lawsuit. Over 5,000 Ivanti Connect Secure appliances remain exposed to a critical vulnerability with a CVSS score of 9.0, allowing remote code execution. The flaw, a stack-based buffer overflow, is being actively exploited by a Chinese threat group which deploys backdoors via Ivanti VPNs. Ivanti issued a fix in February, but initially misdiagnosed the issue, enabling ongoing attacks. Most vulnerable devices are outdated Pulse Connect Secure 9 versions, no longer supported since December of last year. Ivanti urges users to patch or upgrade to supported versions immediately. CISA has confirmed that a critical vulnerability in CrushFTP is being actively exploited. This authenticated bypass flaw with a CVSS score of 9.8 allows unauthenticated attackers to fully compromise unpatched CrushFTP version 10 and version 11 systems. CISA added it to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog on April 7th and urges all organizations to patch immediately. The flaw was initially discovered by Outpost 24 and disclosed under a 90-day embargo. However, another group, VulnCheck, released a separate CVE without coordination, leading to public exposure and exploitation. MITRE later rejected VulnCheck's CVE, sparking debate over vulnerability disclosure ethics. Shadow Server observed over 1,500 unpatched instances and noted in-the-wild exploitation using proof-of-concept code. While the flaw has been fixed in multiple CrushFTP versions, the disclosure conflict highlights challenges in coordinated vulnerability reporting. Coming up after the break, my conversation with Matt Radolec from Varonis on turning to gamers to build resilient cyber teams. And AI outphishes human red teams. Stay with us. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like, right now. We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But get this. More than 8,000 companies like Atlassian and Quora have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Here's the gist. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across 30 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting, and helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get $1,000 off Vanta when you go to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber for $1,000 off. Are you frustrated with cyber risk scores backed by mysterious data, zero context, and cloudy reasoning? Typical cyber ratings are ineffective, and the true risk story is begging to be told. It's time to cut the BS. Black Kite believes in seeing the full picture with more than a score, one where companies have complete clarity in their third-party cyber risk using reliable, quantitative data. Make better decisions. Reduce your uncertainty. Trust Black Kite. Matt Radolec is VP of Incident Response, Cloud Operations, and SEEU at Varonis. In today's sponsored Industry Voices segment, I sit down with him to discuss their research From Gamer to Leader, how to build resilient cyber teams.
I'll say 2 things, really. One is a personal journey of mine. I have an extensive background in video gaming, whether from World of Warcraft competitive or Fortnite or Halo, all these different games where I feel like I actually learned a lot about teamwork, about being achievement-oriented, and about hustle. And when I face with other leaders in the cybersecurity space, I often hear people talk about like how hard it is to find talent, or how many times have you heard someone say, Dave, nobody wants to work anymore.
Right.
You know?
Right. That old chestnut. Right.
I mean, it comes up all the time. And I think you might be looking at the wrong places. or you might not be giving people the right quests in order to achieve. And so I find that when you recruit gamers and you purposely recruit gamers and you give them this quest line, this ability to achieve and level up their skills, that you can keep them motivated. So first you choose to recruit them, then you give them like a path to stay motivated. And then if you arm them with some type of tools or weapons, right? If you think of like, all the different games where you can get like a cool sword or, a magical bow or a magical staff or something like that, or a better shield or a faster car. That's the same kind of analogy can be used for arming your teams and the people that work for you with the tools that they need to do their job. You could help them as a person level up, but you could also give them a tool that could help level up some of their skills. And that really is the impetus of my talk, that if you target gamers and you look at that community and you nurture them and you arm them with the right tools, that they can be a superpower for you.
So you're not just speaking metaphorically here. You actually do want to target folks who are avid gamers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, personally, I mean, I feel like a lot of who I am as a person and my drive comes from, playing games and like being able to adapt to different strategies or to have to work well with others. I want you to imagine, as I sit with you today, I'm 36 years old. The first time that I ever led a raid in World of Warcraft with 40 people in it was when I was 13. So I had to deal with teamwork and conflict and personality resolution all those years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a good bit older than you, and so my exposure to early games were things like, well, Pong, Pac-Man, Missile Command, Asteroids. But I did play up into and including the Halo games. And I think you're really onto something here. I mean, that level of teamwork, for certain scenarios, you can't go at it alone. You need to collaborate.
Yeah, and also think about, like, I don't know if you ever played like a role-playing game, right? But in a
Mm.
lot of the role-playing games, you get a character, and that character has to level up in order to unlock new skills and new abilities. Well, that same thing could be said about hiring a junior SOC analyst, but someday them wanting to be a malware researcher. Are you going to just let that be an unscripted adventure? Or are you as a leader going to carve that path for someone to go on some, let's call them quests or missions, and gain experience and knowledge that if they're able to match that with achievement, get them to that point where they can become a malware researcher? Because if you can do that, you can recruit gamers, you can keep them motivated, and you can utilize this drive that they have to benefit your organization and have a more resilient team. Same thing could be
Yeah.
thought about, like, let's kind of imagine we're assembling a group of people to go and take down a particular actor. Like, I have a strong background in incident response. The different threat actors have different tactics, techniques, and protocols. You're going to bring in different experts based on the threat actor that you think you're going to encounter or that you're encountering. That's the same thing with like getting together a group of people to take down a dragon.
So, how do you propose going about attracting these folks to cybersecurity?
I think one is like the most fundamental thing is that it's our job as leaders to build that quest line and that sense of achievement. You have to show people that that first job that they're getting, if it's junior, can lead to something, and that that more senior job that they have or that more senior position can also like help them to develop skills and level up. In doing that, you're helping people that have that sense of achievement feel like they're on a journey for something, and convincing your company to be able to support that as well. Like, hey, if you spend a certain amount of time in a role and your metrics are good, you'll go from analyst 1 to analyst 2 as an example. It's just a great way to retain people and also to find and motivate talent.
It strikes me that it also intersects with something you kind of alluded to, which is the difficulty in finding cybersecurity talent. This is kind of a sideways way to bring entry level people in because you're looking for pre-existing talents that they have that they learned and earned uh, from playing games from a different mode, but that they can then apply to their cyber skills.
Correct, correct. If, again, especially when you think about these entry level security roles or security monitoring roles, you're thinking of personality traits a lot more than technical knowledge, skills, and ability. Now, you may have to put together some type of entrance exam. We have a technical interview that even we at Varonis give to junior people, so they do need to have some technology and networking, maybe a little bit of Active Directory and identity-based experience that can't be totally and completely unknown to it. But that's a much broader audience than those with cybersecurity experience.
And how do you get leadership at an organization to buy into this sort of strategy?
First, you gotta carve that path. You got to show that it's working already. Two, I think a lot of times it's about having goals from a retention standpoint and a promotion standpoint. If you're able to have a high percentage of attainment and keep people, especially at a cybersecurity company or even at a business, that's great for business, right? Like turnover means you have to train people. You're going to probably have to pay a recruiter's fee or a finder's fee, and everybody wants employee loyalty. That's still valued in the job place. And so I think as a leader, if you propose, hey, I'm going to do these things, I'm going to increase retention, I'm going to be able to target and have more junior people that can progress over time. So that's going to help us with cost control, and it's going to lead to higher employee satisfaction and employee loyalty. Like Varonis was, for instance, just named a great place to work yet again. Like all these things contribute to the overall image and brand of the company. And don't forget about the last thing I said, though, Dave. It's also the job of a leader to find them tools. So, like when I think about that in today's context, is your SOC AI powered? Are you using this, for lack of a better word, this magical potion that you can buy on the market to make everyone stronger and faster and smarter? Or are you still using like legacy toolkits that aren't AI powered? I think that's a very core question for every security leader to answer. And when you gamify it, when you put it in the lens of a gamer, you can really excite gamers about it. They're like, oh, that's why you're doing it. It isn't so that we don't hire 10 more people. It's so that I work 10 times as efficiently and I'm able to provide better customer service and for the company at a better bottom line.
How do you dial in, the right amount of gamification, and the core business functions that you need to accomplish? I guess I'm wondering, is there a peril of making it just a little too cute? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's a great question. I was asked that before. A lot of companies have like core skills and core traits. One of them might be accountability. It might be adaptability or learning agility. It might be achievement oriented. You've heard all these terms before, I'm sure, if you've ever sat through a performance review, and I'm sure many of your listeners have. Well, don't come up with new ones. Use your company's one and help people understand how that leads to improvement. That if they improve their learning agility and they demonstrate that they can learn faster, how the company benefits from that. Or in the gamer's world, how if they go from a 70 in learning agility to a 80 in learning agility, what that stands to do for them in their career.
Can you give us some examples of some of the kinds of things that you've found success with?
Yeah, I think one of them is this idea of a career progression ladder. So, if you can start someone at a more junior role, but show them how in 5 years they could be in a completely different, like they can go from SOC analyst to incident handler, and how if they get really advanced, they could even go down a management track and start to lead people and develop what are called power skills, where they get to learn more about like giving feedback and delegation and some of the things that come with being a manager versus just being a technical achiever. And that's a path that you could paint for someone in a transparent way when they sign up for your company, even if it's 3 to 5 years down the road. It's okay to say that. I mean, a lot of promotions have to be earned from simply like leveling up and experience and time on the job, but carving out that path is a great way to let someone know they're on a journey. They're not just in a role.
Right. And just even letting them know that those possibilities are out there. I mean, it gives people something to shoot for.
Yeah. And those that want to overachieve will do it faster.
Yeah,
They'll
absolutely.
want to work harder and they'll want to move through that rank faster. And that'll drive very healthy conversations between them and their manager about, hey, how do I get to, incident handler in 3 years instead of 5? That's a super healthy conversation for somebody to have with their supervisor. And if it's within a guidelines or a framework, it's not so abstract either. They could say, well, look, there is a way that could happen. I can't promise that could happen, but if you did these 5 things and your metrics were good, you got good reviews, I could see it happening in 3 years instead of 5 years.
I suspect you probably have to be careful that you're not too rigid about this as well. I mean, there are going to be
Yeah.
some really good contributors to your team who don't need this kind of motivation.
100%, 100%. And then there are going to be people that I also have found are happy in the role that they're in. And they want to develop, but they don't want to develop quite as fast as you might want them to develop. And that's okay too.
No, that's a really good insight. Any words of wisdom in terms of lessons you've learned along the way of, harder lessons? Maybe are there any things that didn't quite work out the way you'd hoped that they would have?
I wish I would have done more automation and more AI faster. The gains that we're seeing from having the AI analysts be the first ones to look at the alerts are incredible. And if I really focused on one thing for your audience, there are things out there now. There are AI powered solutions, AI enabled SOC, or for Varonis, AI enabled data security that is going to not just give you ROI from that software and that better defense, but your people are going to be so much better because they have the help of this AI SOC assistant or AI SOC helper. We call ours Athena AI at Varonis. Like with Athena's help, your analyst doesn't need to know our technology. They can just use natural language to interact with it. With Athena's help, when our managed data detection and response team gets an alert, they already know lots and lots that they otherwise would have had to do a manual investigation about that alert, like the user, the device involved, the user agent, the data that they were touching, the type of account that it is, the past history on that otherwise would take many, many more queries. We use that same type of technology to help find data. And I only wish I would have given my team these types of tools sooner and faster. And now we put a lot of impetus on making them better because of the efficiency gains and the accuracy gains we see it give our people. So I, as a leader, feel like that's a big part of my job now is to give everyone these weapons that they need to succeed. Again, metaphorically speaking, maybe I call them tools, but like I give them all these superpowers or these potions that, come with a lot of these AI-enabled toolkits.
That's Matt Radolec from Varonis. We'll have a link to their report From Gamer to Leader, How to Build Resilient Cyber Teams in our show notes. What's the common denominator in security incidents? Escalations and lateral movement. When a privileged account is compromised, attackers can seize control of critical assets. With bad directory hygiene and years of technical debt, identity attack paths are easy targets for threat actors to exploit, but hard for defenders to detect. This poses risk in Active Directory, Entra ID, and hybrid configurations. Identity leaders are reducing such risks with attack path management. You can learn how attack path management is connecting identity and security teams while reducing risk with Bloodhound Enterprise, powered by SpecterOps. Head to specterops.io today to learn more. SpecterOps, see your attack paths the way adversaries do. And finally, move over, chess grandmasters. AI has now leveled up to out-hustle human red teams in the world of phishing. According to cybersecurity firm Hawkshunt, their AI phishing agent, codenamed JKR, Joker, beat human-crafted phishing attempts by 24% in March. That's a glow-up from last year when Joker lagged 31% behind. Think of it as a Skynet meets email moment. Joker adapts like a social engineering ninja, customizing bait with user-specific context like job roles and locations. It's not just phishing, it's precision phishing in bulk. Hawkshunt says this could make mass phishing campaigns as effective as today's spear phishing attempts. Great. The Anti-Phishing Working Group also reported a global spike in phishing sites and smishing scams, including hilariously off-target toll collection texts. So while humans still bring creativity, AI brings scale, 24/7 hustle, and zero need for coffee. Experts say defending against AI-driven threats will still require one vital element: human judgment. We'd have more good judgment if it weren't constantly busy cleaning up after bad judgment. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K's senior producer is Alice Carruth. Our CyberWire producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Trey Hester with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Looking for a career where innovation meets impact? Vanguard's technology team is shaping the future of financial services by solving complex challenges with cutting-edge solutions. Whether you're passionate about AI, cybersecurity, or cloud computing, Vanguard offers a dynamic and collaborative environment where your ideas drive change. With career growth opportunities and a focus on work-life balance, you'll have the flexibility to thrive both professionally and personally. Explore open cybersecurity and technology roles today at vanguardjobs.com.